Just like the lyrics to Pride in the Name of Love by U2, early morning, April 4, a shot rings out in the Memphis sky. A tragedy occurred on the morning of April 4 in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Just after 8 a.m., a Grand Rapids PD officer stopped a vehicle driven by Patrick Leoya for improper plates. Leoya would fail to provide ID, then run and eventually fight the officer. The video clearly shows Leoya take the taser from the officer before the officer tragically shoots and kills Leoya. This video isn't about the shooting, but if you want a very serious breakdown of every step of the incident, there's a link to our video on the subject down in the description. The focus of this video is, as always, preparedness. We would be remiss if we didn't note that the weather is warming up and the U.S. has a critical midterm election coming up in the fall. A reminder from the Ultimate Tactical Handbook is in order. A prudent person foresees danger and takes precautions. The simpleton goes blindly on and suffers the consequences. Proverbs 27:12. We want to be the prudent guys, not the simpletons. When the shooting first happened, I predicted that the terrible optics of an officer shooting a black man in the back of the head would lead to protests and give the incident the longevity that certain groups were looking for to reinvigorate their agenda. Within hours, Ben Crump and all the usual suspects were en route to Grand Rapids. As soon as the police department released the video, the execution of an unarmed prisoner narrative began running wild despite clear evidence to the contrary. Inflammatory comments led to people staging reenactments with a handcuffed person being shot in the head for news cameras. Never mind that the imagery is not rooted in reality. Remember, hands up, don't shoot? It fit the narrative. I warned immediately that violent protests would ensue, and on Saturday night, Grand Rapids experienced serious protests by a large number of armed people, and there were several armed encounters. For our purposes, it's important to note that once again, the police surrendered the streets and reverted to defending city buildings, and the citizens trapped in the protest zone were left on their own. At one point, BLM and New Black Panther Party protesters trapped the vehicle at an intersection, and an armed man approached the driver. Fortunately, they let him go, but imagine how this could have went. The next night, as I predicted, rioting spread to Portland, Oregon. The protesters attacked and attempted once again to burn down the police station. They put out a statement that the riot was revenge for the killing of Leoya. As people interested in preparedness, the most glaring difference this time around is that the protest groups arrived heavily armed, including with long guns and in body armor. These are significant escalations. Over at Forward Observer, Mike and his team have been reporting on multiple training sessions being held across the country to train armed leftist groups in firearms and combat tactics. We're seeing Antifa embedded in Rojava and Ukraine to gain combat experience. This new summer of love will be different. In the meantime, another police shooting has occurred outside of Pittsburgh, and we've seen 2 days of protesting there. As our tactical wisdom above says, the prudent see danger and take precautions. We need to adjust our plans to include preparations once again to be ready for spontaneous protests. Begin by double-checking your get-home bag. Ensure that you have adjusted it for the seasonal change. Springtime means more rain, so you need rain gear. Consider adding a face mask and a couple of hats for quick appearance changes, and a black hoodie or packable jacket for blending in. Self-defense items are not a bad thing to add either. Monitor local social media of activist groups to remain aware of potential protest activity so that you can plan your day to avoid them. If a protest develops while you are somewhere, immediately develop a new plan and switch to your alternate route. If you happen to cross a protest, stop and turn around and go the other way. We all like to talk tough about what we would do when an armed man approaches our car or these people try to block you in, but reality must intrude. The current legal situation is not in favor of lawful self-defense. Also, you serve no purpose by lawfully defending yourself against one guy just to be killed by the mob before you can get away. Avoid conflict by being prepared and planning. If you find yourself in a protest area for an extended time, like if you're stuck at work or in a hotel, you can gather information. Watch for agitators, some of whom may be known to you for previous events, and document their activity. If you have a police scanner with a surge or close call function, listen to determine what frequencies the protest groups are using. They use the same Baofeng radios as everyone else. Developing a database of personalities, their vehicles, and their known radio frequencies could turn out to be very helpful should things eventually develop kinetically. It will allow you to know who to avoid. I say that for the feds who will end up watching this video. If you think I'm ringing the alarm bells too early, I want to share with you an email about this event I received earlier today. They literally compare it to George Floyd and falsely claim that Leoya was unarmed. He was armed with the officer's taser. They're going to use this all summer. Prepare yourself.